What makes men lose their sweetness as they get older? At 26, I've come to realize that most guys my age don't turn me on because even if they have looks, money, degrees, fit bodies, etc., I can't get turned on if they lack one essential thing: sweetness. In fact, it even seems that the more good-looking, wealthy, educated, fit, etc. a guy is, the less likely he is to be sweet. For me, the more sweet a guy is, the more safe he is, and I can only get turned on when a guy makes me feel safe. I don't mean trivial, surface-level sweetness like bringing flowers on a date. I mean like deep sweetness, hard to describe, but when people think of him, they think of the words sweet and pure. An example is Hassan from the book The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I've never seen the movie. In the book, he starts as a sweet boy, but later he becomes a man who's retained his sweetness. This summer, I worked at Target with a 19-year-old guy who had this type of sweetness. When first meeting him, I wasn't initially attracted, but as I got to know him, I started to fall in love. I haven't worked there in a month, but thinking of him is still the only way I can get off. In fact, I can only sexually fantasize about guys who are sweet because their sweetness makes their body safe. The sex has a pure, innocent safeness in it. It isn't dirty feeling. I feel that most women like the opposite: guys who are hard, aggressive, dominant, overtly masculine. This made me wonder, why is adult male sweetness so rare? What makes men lose their sweetness as they get older? Life beats it out of you. You start out life with good assumptions. You are sweet as a child with others because life seems innocent and rosy. Then as you accumulate rejections, cruelty, nastiness, any sort of vile human behavior, you put your guard up. You can't think nicely of people anymore. You become colder and more aloof, more cautious. I miss that part of me that's gone forever. A lot of sweet guys get taken advantage of. The people who didn't appreciate our kindness tends to make us second guess how much we want to extend ourselves. But eventually, at least one would hope, we'll return to kindness just because it feels good, and anyone who doesn't appreciate loss, it's not going to change how I want to approach the world. I feel that most women like the opposite: guys who are hard, aggressive, dominant, overtly masculine. You answered your own question. We learn that it's not wanted and leave it behind. Speaking to the hetero experience, you meet enough women who take advantage of that sweetness and become calloused to survive and protect your heart. Basically, it's the same thing that happens to bitter women who get screwed over by enough shitty guys. We are all the same. We all suffer in kind. Next week I'm going to post this in Ask Women with the genders reversed. Men are punished for being sweet, as you called it, ridiculed as nice guys, and so on. Men don't want to be treated like a doormat. You don't get anything out of being overly nice in my experience. It's driven out of us by society's demand for achievement and lack of emotional support. It's a miracle it even survives puberty. To be honest, life, unless you are incredibly lucky, it will beat you down no matter what you do. It's hard to keep sweetness without actively trying, which most men don't do, as they are told growing up they need to be tough and not show emotion by society. Because honestly, most women don't respond to sweetness as much these days. Even you acknowledged it. I feel that most women like the opposite: guys who are hard, aggressive, dominant, overtly masculine. Also, life makes you pretty callous. Failed relationships make you callous. However, that sweetness does not exist in all men inherently at the same levels. It's not just men. Women lose it too. We all do. From the thing called life that we all go through. That 19-yo still has it because he's 19. His adult life is just starting. Check back with him in 10 years. Reality of life wears all of us down to an extent, but that doesn't mean the sweetness is completely gone. Just takes longer to see. You have to get to know most people to get the chance and see that sweetness. Many adults hide it away from people they don't know. Literally I feel that most women like the opposite guys who are hard, aggressive, dominant, overtly masculine. Also this made me wonder, why is adult male sweetness so rare? Imagine if a 26-year-old guy posted about how he could only get off by thinking about the sweet and innocent 19-year-old girl at his work. But honestly, most men just have that sweetness beaten out of them by experience. A lot of women don't respond to it, and some actively look to take advantage of it. There was that post not long ago from a woman that said she married the sweet, innocent guy because he was safe and nurturing. Now the thought of him touching her sickens her, and she constantly fantasizes about some giant douchebag dominating her. We men learned our lesson from women's actions and decisions. What is sweet and pure even? I don't understand what you're asking. I'm unconditionally kind and loving to 3 people. My mother and my little nieces. Everyone else is an adult. They don't get unconditional kindness. That shit has a cost. Honestly, switch the genders around here and you sound like a nonce. What? Experience. Can you define sweetness a bit better? The whole world starts treating us like shit lol. If you're kind, people view you as an easy target. If you're assertive, people find a way to make you look like the bad guy when you tell them something they don't want to hear. The better you're doing in life, the more people want to see you fall. Look at Tom Brady. People literally hate him because he wins too much lol. Realizing that most interactions are transactional and everyone either wants something from you or they don't appreciate your kindness. You learn there's almost no such thing as selflessness, or at the very least it's barely practiced. Guys tend to roughen up over the years and don't want to take all the bullshit. Sweetness doesn't get you a better life most of the time because you end up being taken advantage of or being abused by those other self-centered assholes that think they can use you until you got nothing to offer. Sweetness is not rewarded and is frequently punished. Sweetness is taken advantage of, so life takes it away over time. It's that simple. Chivalry is dead and gone, and you should Google the definition. You seem to be equating sweetness with innocence, which is just something we lose as we learn a thing or two about life. Sweet boys often become kind men, but it's often a sort of stoic kindness, not what you're describing. I'd typed out a big long discussion on why men lose their sweetness. However, due to the reasons I am no longer sweet, I also think it's useless for me to explain. To summarize: 1. Life doesn't allow it. 2. Society doesn't accept it. Well, getting shit on pretty much. Rejection, insecurity and hardships can make a man put up walls. I've personally never dropped that sweetness even though I was hurt in a million ways. But I'm in the minority. I can tell you that falling and getting back up isn't easy. But I don't see any other way. Women take advantage of us when we're younger, so we stop giving a shit about being emotionally tender. What is the point in engaging in a behavior that usually has no reward, but plenty of punishment? I've had over a dozen women tell me something I did for them was the sweetest thing ever. And not one of those times did they choose to date me. Well over a dozen times being sweet just got me taken advantage of by some ass who wanted a free meal or an ego boost.